this weekend.
This weekend,
And it's
the
chock-a-block.
We are
we have to cut for a second.
Okay.
Hey, what, just restart it, just start up from the top of the show.
okay. 4.
Do it exactly like
The
that.
stream didn't take, I'm guessing.
Welcome. This is a live television show. We can't believe it is either. It's called Weekend Live, the Hamptons now, and it's everything happening in the Hamptons this weekend. I'm Bill McCuddy.
And I'm Patrick McLaughlin. I don't even know what camera. I never know where to look.
That's
It's
the
okay,
fun
one
of
it
local
is.
television, isn't it? It's, I think, over there. So anyway, the point is, it's Fashion Week this week, so everyone's trying to be a little more fashionable.
It's like Milan, but the Hamptons.
Yes, yes. And there are, on Sunday, a bunch of pop-up fashion shows. Speaking of pop-ups, we have the Pop-Up Bagels as perhaps a guest in the show. But first up, the most excited is right here in this building at LTV this weekend. What's happening?
A little song, a little dance, and Matilda Jr. is coming to town.
Yes, we're going to hear all about that from the director. Her name is Tamara Salkin, and Tamara joins us with some of the cast members of Matilda Jr. Welcome.
Thank you.
How's it
Happy to
going?
be
I know
here.
you've had a performance already.
Yes, South Fork Performing Arts, this is our second summer camp session this summer. We did it July, now we're doing August. And I'm here with 3 of our cast members, Alessa and Emma and Ziania, who are our oldest in the cast.
Welcome,
Ooh.
And
ladies.
they're veterans of SFPA. They've been with us for many years, so
They're veterans,
they
Yeah.
are.
but not veterinarians.
No,
No,
not yet.
Not
They're-
yet. They might be veterinarians later.
We're live and not funny.
And not funny.
Here's some of
that's
what,
us.
yeah, we're looking at some of the performance there. Now, are we looking at one of the Matildas here?
No, you are looking at Miss Honey and Bruce and Sergey.
Ah, that's called diversity. So are you guys all triple threats?
Yeah, do you have,
I'd say
Yeah.
They are. They're all triple threats.
and they're singing. Like, what would one of the big songs be in the show?
Revolting
When I
children.
grow up.
When I grow up, revolting children.
When I Grow Up. Yeah.
Really good
This is
song.
Roald Dahl's
Yes.
original. Yeah.
This is based on the Roald Dahl book.
Has it been woked up in any way? Has it been made politically correct? From,
No,
I don't think
well, no.
No, I don't think
So
so.
it was first adapted for Broadway as a musical, Matilda, and then a lot of shows after they leave Broadway, they readapt them into junior versions for young performers.
What a great idea. That's
It's-
really cool.
It's incredible, and we're really lucky that we get to do a lot of those shows. And so this one is adapted for middle school and high school age performers, and it's super family friendly. And in terms of woked up, I mean, they do talk about Bruce's bulge, but as you can see, she is not bulging. She is
Wow.
not large.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and
Now,
I'm very,
She
very
eats a
worried.
big cake.
Ooh. Now, how long is the show? About 2 hours? Hour and a half?
About an hour, I think.
Yeah.
An hour and a
Yeah.
half.
And are you guys exhausted after it?
Honestly,
Some people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Some
Right.
shows. Yeah.
Right.
So have we had any bloopers or outtakes yet so far in the show? Like anything that didn't go right?
No
The
shows
new-
yet.
Because we have that
Oh, we
all
thought you
the
had
time
one
here.
show already.
All rehearsals.
Yeah.
First
Oh.
show is tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, so when you say tonight, Friday night, and you're running through Saturday
Sunday.
and Sunday,
4
and
shows.
where can people get tickets and information?
They can go to our website, which is
We just had it up.
www.southforkperformingarts.org. There's a ticket link.
SouthForkPerformingArts.com.
Org.
Org.org.
Org.
And-
We're an org.
It's selling out quickly, I'm sure lots of folks.
This evening is already sold out.
Parents, again, Friday night, if you're watching this over the weekend, had apparently sold out. And Saturday and Sunday, still plenty, and doing any
Yes.
matinees as well?
Yes, we have a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday
There's
and
a Saturday
Sunday.
and Sunday
Yeah.
matinee.
At 2 o'clock?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Perfect timing.
Now,
And-
before we let you go, do any of you want to be actors when you grow up? Is this something you're
When
enjoying?
you grow
Really?
up. Aw.
When I grow up is the song, all right.
Yes.
And can you favor us with just a bar or two from When I Grow Up? No.
Can't.
Oh, it's illegal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's like you can't sing Happy Birthday. Remember that?
No, you
Yeah.
can now, but
Oh, you
okay,
can sing
fine.
that,
So
okay.
you've licensed it only for a certain number of things.
We
right?
have only licensed the show for
I love
4
that. That
days.
keeps it top secret. The lid is on it, and you have to come here to LTV.
By the way, everyone around LTV is buzzing about the show, and they're all
Yeah.
talking about how great you guys are.
Matilda Jr.
They're great.
And what's the
Congratulations.
difference between Matilda and Matilda Jr.? It is the same show, basically.
20
It's
years.
just adapted
Okay, you did
for
say
a
that.
And it's-
younger
it's-
My
audience.
apologies.
Yeah,
little
shorter.
It's just
a
little
like
shorter.
And
easier
shorter.
for-
Yeah.
And you know, the music is very, very complex. So for
Is
the
it?
younger
Yeah.
kids, they take out
a
some
lot of
of that
harmonies and stuff.
complexity.
Oh.
Make
Like
it a little
separate
easier to
parts at the
sing,
same
perhaps.
time.
Yes.
Yeah,
And were you
okay.
guys fans of the book or the other movies before you got involved in this show?
I like the movie.
I read
Yeah.
the book.
Which, the musical movie or the movie
The-
movie?
The movie, both of them,
Yeah.
actually.
Same.
And you all saw the movie, and did you all read the book?
I read some of the book.
No, I haven't.
Kind of
Me
gave up on it
either.
halfway.
I read the book.
And you read the, Tamara read the book, so.
All right, before you go, let's get the girls to read
Ah,
the
you guys do the weather?
Just go ahead and
All right, Alessa, start.
you can direct.
Direct, yes.
Here's the weekend weather
In your best
with
weather
from the
voice.
cast of Matilda Jr.
Oh, yeah, well, you
Oh
guys
yeah,
wanna go,
well, they
we're gonna
want you on
send
the
you to the
green
beach.
screen. So can you go over to the beach?
I love the beach.
yes.
Just
This is
follow
so fun.
Jody, he'll take you to the
This
beach.
is ad-libbing. We do it constantly on the show.
I'll take it.
If you're just joining us, you're flipping around. No, this isn't a town
You're gonna
council
keep
meeting.
flipping.
This is in fact Weekend Live, the Hamptons Now. It's what's going on in the Hamptons this weekend. We got the horse show starting. We got Fashion Week, as we just said, but don't go by us or any of the guests actually, because everybody thought this was a radio show. Here we go now. Here are the
Wait, what am I?
Junior on the beach.
We're on the beach. Look, guys, we're on the beach.
All right, get it.
Oh, what?
Okay. Weekend Weather is brought to you by Douglas Elliman Real Estate and by the Melissa Cohn Group with William Reves Mortgage. More at reves.com. Saturday, high around 80. Sorry.
Scattered thunder showers likely in the morning, then mostly sunny and at a humidity of 81%. The UV index about 6 out of 11. Sun's up at 6:09 and sets at 7:31. Overnight low 64.
Not me. I'm directing.
Sunday high in the mid 70s and sunshine. Humidity at 75%. UV index 7 out of 11. Sun's up at 6:10 and sets at 7:29. That's your weekend weather from Douglas Elliman and the Melissa Cohn Group with William Reves Mortgage.
Let's give some jazz hands.
Junior, thank you. And again, for legal reasons, they were not allowed to sing any of that. Go and see Matilda Jr. if you are watching this on Saturday or Sunday. Still lots of performances left. It's at LTV. But
You're
come
in
anyway.
Industrial Road here,
But come
Industrial
anyway.
Road.
Hey, let's now meet. It's time for the. Thanks, ladies. It's
Thank
now-
you, guys, awesome. We'll
It's
see you this weekend. Well, Bill.
one of our favorite times of the
Real estate, so mortgage rates, will they go down? We're gonna talk about 5 reasons why you shouldn't wait for rates to drop and why it's a good time to buy real estate now.
Wow.
Mortgage rate, home prices have spiked over the past couple of years, and it's making it more expensive than ever, But because so many buyers have dropped out of the market, those who remain could possibly get a better deal, and that's what we're here to talk about
Really?
with Melissa Cohn of WilliamRavisMortgage.com and
Thank
Tim
you,
Birch
Patrick.
from Brown Harris Stevens Hamptons.com. So our home shoppers that buy now will likely have the opportunity to refi at lower rates down the road.
Absolutely. I mean, although Powell has indicated that rates are likely to stay higher for longer, as he spoke at the Jackson Hole Conference, at some point, the Fed will have achieved its goal of bringing the rate of inflation down and mortgage rates will come down. At some point, probably in the next 12 to 18 months, we should see some much lower rates,
What do you define much lower?
better than 7.5. I would say that hopefully by the end of next year that we'll see rates well into the lower 6s again.
Oh, good.
And that by 2025, we'll see rates into the 5s and hopefully we'll see adjustable rates going back down into the 4s.
So what are some of the silver linings about the fact that we have higher interest rates now, Tim?
Well, I mean, even with the higher interest rates, it's gonna be less competition if you're out shopping for a house. I mean,
Right.
we all remember 18 months ago when there was 40 people coming into an open house and you would get, 10 or 15 offers. Now you've got fewer shoppers, you've got a better chance at getting it. And, we can talk about the history of the values of properties in the Hamptons, but I saw a chart once, which I wish I could get my hands on again, from like the 1940s all the way through. The value of properties in the Hamptons has always traditionally gone up. Even in the worst markets like 2007, 8, and 9, it might have just sort of flattened out a little bit.
Right.
So as we're saying, you may pay a little bit more for your interest rates now, but your property's still very likely gonna hold
Right,
its
but
value.
when rates come down, so many buyers are gonna come back into the market
Exactly.
and prices are gonna go back up. So you're better off saving a few $100,000 today and paying $1,000 a month more on your mortgage
Yep.
and refinancing in a year, I'd rather pay $18,000 versus hundreds of thousands of dollars more. I mean,
Exactly.
Do the math.
That
But
is
the
the part.
mentality of the most consumers until the last few years hasn't been the thought of, I know I can refinance very quickly. Refinancing is sort of you had a 30-year mortgage in it, you were locked into it forever.
Welcome to today's world.
So people actually go out and buy and go, I know that a year from now it'll be lower, but I just wanna lock in the house now.
Absolutely. So I've been in the mortgage business for decades. And, for the past 25 years, we've had very low interest rates and it's not been, I'm gonna refinance, I'm gonna buy, this is the rate today. A lot of people took fixed rates. Rates have more than doubled over the course of the past year and a half, and it's a whole different mentality.
And it is a little bit of, now we call it like the golden handcuffs of real estate, in that if somebody's got a 3% mortgage, they're not looking to sell right away, because they would then have to, if they needed a mortgage for their next house, would then have to go into the 7% market. So that's keeping the inventory down, which is, harder for the buyers, but we're saying there's a lot less buyers, so I think it's gonna even out that way.
But also people have to move for life cycles.
Yes.
They get married, they have kids, they get divorced, they die.
Who
They have to go back.
died and are
They
they
do.
listing their house?
My secret. But also a lot of people are having to go back to work 5 days a week in the office, and as a
Right.
result, those people who moved out here during COVID, it's no longer convenient. It's not a good commute into New York City from here on a daily basis. And those people, there are people who can't afford to keep their home in the Hamptons and then buy a home that's closer to where they work. And those people will be forced to sell and be forced to
Yes.
sell in today's rate environment.
Correct.
Now, what about refinancing down the line? I mean, we talked about that a few weeks ago. What's the magic number, or when do you know it's time to refi?
If interest rates, if it's a big loan, say it's over $1 million, if the rate drops by at least 0.75%,
Wow,
and
that
you
little.
intend to be in your home for the next at least 3 to 4 years, it pays to refinance. The biggest cost we have of refinancing out here is the mortgage recording tax. But we make sure that for all of our clients that they go to a bank where they'll be able to do what's called a CEMA, so they don't have to pay the mortgage recording tax again. So that if the cost of refinancing your home is, let's call it $7,000, and you're saving $7,000 in that first year, you're ahead of the game after the end of the first year. So it's once again just looking at the numbers. And you have to be careful because not every bank will give you a CEMA when you're ready to refinance. So if
Really?
you're buying today, one of the most important questions you should ask if you're taking a mortgage is, I be able to get a CEMA when I'm ready to refinance?
What does CEMA stand for?
Consolidation and Modification Agreement. I knew the answer.
Oh, sure.
Good, yeah, you knew that.
No, but that's a question that every buyer should ask, which they can also use the CEMA for the mortgage from the sellers.
That's correct. You
So
can
if the
do a
seller
purchase
has a
CEMA as
mortgage,
well.
right, if the seller has a mortgage, let's say of $1 million, and they're getting a mortgage of $1.5 million to buy it, they can,
So that $1 million
they pay the
would be
difference.
$8,000 in savings,
Exactly.
and that goes a lot of ways towards closing costs.
Yep.
So the refinancing down the road is definitely an option for a lot of people, so don't panic about the rates being
I
necessarily.
would say anyone who has taken a mortgage since last fall will definitely be refinancing in the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah.
That's great. But also, Tim, we were talking earlier also about in the fall, do we think the market's gonna get a little bit flooded out here?
I mean, there is an anticipation that there's gonna be, a lot more listings coming on the market, but I also think a lot of buyers who have now sort of settled in with the idea of what the mortgage rates are for right now, and the more educated ones are gonna know that they can refinance. Hopefully, I think we're gonna see more inventory, but we're gonna see more active buyers. So I think it's gonna be, just as busy of a fall market as it is almost any other year.
Right, and people expected the prices were gonna come down when rates went up, but because
They
there
have
is
not,
such a
no.
lack of inventory, that hasn't happened.
Really? So sellers aren't more negotiable in a high interest environment because they know that, this is gonna cost them another $300 a month, so.
I mean, I would say generally not. I mean, it just depends. There are certainly properties that have been overpriced since they put the price on it to begin with, so we are seeing some price reductions based on that. I mean, it's more of a leveling of the market than it is any kind of drop where we're seeing in other parts of the country, even other parts of New York State. So I think I think, you know, the Hamptons market always remains solid. So even through this, I think we're gonna have a, you know, quite a busy fall. And if people are interested in thinking about selling their house, this is still a very good time, you know, to list the house because.
Did Tom Ford overpay at $52 million?
I was just
for
gonna ask
Jack?
that question, you beat me to
I'm
it,
sorry.
I
I
was.
hope,
I was-
we were
no, go
hoping
ahead.
Tom
the same
Ford's
thing.
not watching, but I kinda think so. I mean, Patrick, what do you think?
Well, he ain't on the ocean,
No, it's,
but it's
yeah.
a trophy property, and I
It
think
is a
that's why
trophy
it's sold for
property.
53 million, and for those who
When you
don't
have all
know.
those billions, it's just a rounding error.
Yeah,
Well, Tom Ford bought Masada, which was Jackie
Yeah, we
Kennedy's
talked about this last
childhood
week,
home,
yeah.
yeah.
and it
On
sold
Further Lane?
on Further
On
Lane,
Further Lane.
but not on the ocean,
Not
and
on the
they
ocean
sold
side.
it for 53, correct?
52, yeah, 52,
52 million.
53. Which is, you know, shocking because the seller paid 25, you know.
Just a few years ago,
yeah,
like
I don't know if I'm giving away too much,
2016, I
yeah,
think.
too much information. Did a major
Modest,
reno,
not
Yeah.
a major renovation,
right, well,
modest renovation.
they called it major.
It was a modest.
Only
And
because
then
it sold,
staged
only
it.
because it originally sold within my firm, do I even know some of the things, and the numbers have been highly exaggerated, except for he actually did pay 52 million for it, so
Right.
that's true.
Now, here's the question. In 10 years, will his ownership of that home make it more valuable? Or is it always gonna be the Jackie O thing that then Tom Ford owned, as opposed to just some schlub, you know, like me buying?
Yeah, I think it'll help it for sure. I mean, you know, that's a name that's synonymous with style, with everything. Like, why not get to own the house?
I guess
that
it depends on what he does.
And if he
to
does a
it.
proper
Yeah, you know-
renovation.
Right, yeah.
Here's a question, do you think Tom Ford hires an interior designer?
No. No,
There's a
come on.
question.
I think he probably knows quite a few.
Yeah, I think
But
he
if he
might
needs
do.
one, I know a great one.
Oh, that's true, you do know a good one. Anyway, I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks.
Guys.
Always a pleasure to talk real estate with everyone from William Ravis and Douglas
Brown-
Elliman also.
And
Brown.
Doug Sullivan and Brown Harris Stevens,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank
And
you.
thanks
We
guys for
appreciate it.
being here. What any plans for the weekend?
The Ellen Hermanson Foundation.
That's
Yes,
right, dinner on
yes.
Saturday,
We-
yes.
That's on our list. We-
And
we will
I'm-
talk
I'm
about
on the
that.
board, so I heartily encourage anyone who hasn't bought a ticket yet to please buy a ticket.
Did you run last weekend?
I didn't, but I did get my t-shirt.
Julie Radner was here last
That's
week,
right.
and Julie told us all about the event, and you can buy tickets online at the ellenhermanson.org.
Hey,
There's a lot of
speaking-
orgs.
Thank you. Thanks for joining
Thanks,
us.
guys.
That's
Thanks so
the
much.
And Tim
Hamptons
Birch, Brown Harris
Real Estate
Stevens.
Roundtable.
We always like
Talking-
talking real estate.
Talking about the Ellen Hermanson Foundation, Saturday night, we should say, it's at the Bridgehampton Tennis and Surf Club, and it,
Great
benefits-
location, by the way.
Benefits yeah, it is, it's cool. Benefits cancer research, and our own Bridget Leroy, who will be back here eventually, I think next week. Our own Bridget Leroy is on the host committee, that's Saturday night. Here's what else is going on. The Hampton Classic kicks off this weekend.
Yes, it does. The Hampton Classic starts on Sunday with the Hunt Breakfast this Sunday.
Also, if there's a concourse, this is one of my favorite events that's happening in Southampton at Fresh Air. The Hamptons Concourse d'Elegance for Southampton. Benefits Fresh Air. It's Saturday at 1 o'clock, and you can get more information at sfah.org. Dan Bailey tried playing at Wolfer Estate, Sagaponic, Saturday at 5. Bring a blanket or a chair. And John McEnroe.
Yeah, he's kind of famous,
John
right?
McEnroe is coming to Sport Time in Amagansett on
With his brother
Saturday
Patrick McEnroe,
at 2
too.
o'clock for some exhibition play. And finally, Chelsea Handler is joining us. So, not joining us, but is
I was
here-
like, wow,
is
Chelsea
here in the
Handler's coming in?
Hamptons
Cool.
At the clubhouse.
We did call her,
And,
she didn't answer our calls.
Yeah, this is, but first, if you've been wondering what this is the Hamptons
this.
Dictionary. And
Or
it is the
this.
brainchild of our next guest, and because this is called Hamptons Live, the Hamptons Now, he has an art exhibit that is opening up this weekend in Bridgehampton. He will tell us about that. Please welcome Miles Jaffe. Miles?
Yay, studio
welcome
audience,
to-
yay, Miles.
We can't
yeah.
believe this is a show either, and right now, if we had to rate the show on your art meter, I think.
I think that's pretty accurate, pretty accurate.
What we're talking about. This is just one example of the kind of ribald sense of humor that his art takes on. And welcome to Weekend Live.
Oh, thanks.
So
Thanks for having me.
Miles, I'm trying to find my notes, and of course I can't find anything right now. We're live and we prove it every week, yeah.
So if we had rehearsals, it wouldn't be the same. So tell us about what we're going to see on exhibit and where it is this week.
Okay, well, I'm showing at Stella Flame Gallery in Bridgehampton, which is sort of between the Candy Kitchen and Bobby Vance.
Right.
It's an interesting venue because Stella's a jeweler, and she brings in other jewelers, and right now she's showing this Italian jewelry that is out of this world.
Oh.
And it's actually a nice,
You get a little kickback from that?
I wish. It's really a nice compliment to my work because it's beautifully crafted, as is my work, but the scale is completely different. So their things are tiny and my things are huge.
Yes, your things are huge, and describe, how do you think, are you a pop artist? Are you, because I think it has a sense of humor, some of the pieces that you do, or irony that just isn't otherwise present in other work. And I think we're gonna try and
We're pulling up his
bring
website
your
right now.
website up, but how do you describe
Miles
what you
Jeff.
do?
Well, I think of myself as a conceptual artist because I deal with ideas. But I use the language of pop, which are common elements at scale, increased scale, and elements of advertising to make statements. So, for example, a paint tube of, might be 3 feet, 4 feet long, might be.
There we go, we're looking at it now.
There we go.
Okay, might be squeezing out a stream of Campbell soup cans.
Right.
Okay, which becomes a metaphor for Andy Warhol and the factory and, how do you produce art and all that.
Right.
Or there might be a matchbook advertising Jackson Pollock, okay, where it's an alternate universe and certain people are not famous. What would their day jobs be? Well, Jackson Pollock's a plumber and he's advertising no more drips. So these are the kinds of things I play with, and my work's really about art. And it asks the question, what is the true nature of art? And then you get to, well, art is business. Well, if art is business, is it still art?
Right.
So there's all these sort of questions that I sort of play with in a fun way.
And one of the other things you do in a fun way is take on the art world and sort of turn it on its head and just say, look, don't take this too seriously because somebody's making a lot of money somewhere and you don't want to be the patsy in the poker game.
Well, that's it. I mean, and how do you describe, an artist who buys back his own work at auction to keep the price up, to inflate the price? Damien Hirst and his Diamond Skull.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no transparency to the art world. It's not like there's a valuation that you can check anywhere or, a record. I mean, it's all a black hole and you never know what goes on.
Yeah.
You don't know who the buyers are, you don't know how much they paid, you don't know how much of a discount they got.
Right.
Wow. And you're a Hamptons resident. What is it why do so many artists come out here, Miles?
I have no idea.
It is, well, it's for the cheap real estate maybe?
Right.
Maybe.
Well, the painters all say it's for the light, the long light, and it, it's just more gorgeous, and that really doesn't necessarily affect what you do.
No, I mean, I came out here with my father in the 60s. So you want to talk about beautiful light and beautiful landscapes. I mean, go back in time. Now we're just in suburbia. So I don't know what the inspiration is for a painter to be here now.
Your father, the architect Norman Jaffe, did a lot of work out here and is very famous, and you were involved obviously in doing some of that too. Does any of your work hang in any of his homes?
One of them that I renovated in Bridgehampton for the fourth owner.
Wow.
I ended up not only building out the whole house myself, literally furniture, doors, everything. He's got a bunch of my work hanging there.
Wow, that's cool.
That is really, it's really nice.
That's nice to have your father's work, like the legacy continues.
Yeah.
And then there are these funny stories where I'll see guys in the trades that I know or whatever, and I'll say, oh yeah, I was down so-and-so in Sagaponic and I saw your paint tubes there, and there's those sort of synchronicity that's kind of fun.
So wait, quick question now. How did we get from art to the Hamptons
Hamptons
Dictionary?
Well, I've always made things and always been active doing sort of creative things. And I don't know that this, you might call this a creative thing. But
Oh, I think it's creative.
I mean, for years, I was trying to capture sort of what I saw as the essence of this place, which is really this class war between the locals and the visitors. And I would write these essays and I would look at them and they were angry rants. But I kept trying and I kept trying and I kept trying. So one time I wrote a page and I'm reading it back and I'm saying, nobody's gonna know what a hemorrhoid is. So I know, I'll make a glossary. And I started making this glossary. Next thing you know, I had like 200 words in the glossary, and that became the project.
And a hemorrhoid, for the record, is?
It's the guy, in the Hummer who's tailgating you.
Yeah. One of my favorites is Cidiot. The word idiot with the C in front of it,
Right.
and obviously those are most of the people who come out from here.
As of today, there are
No.
now 7 people who've claimed that they originated that term.
Really?
Yes.
You also have some words like McMansion that have been floating around for a while.
Well,
you
yeah,
give
and
your
there's
own
this
description.
documents sort of common language, and it's also an expression of sort of my own sort of inner workings, which can
No,
be kind
it's
of
very,
It's-
it's very funny.
Very witty, very
Yeah,
funny,
very witty.
and actually very accurate. It's
So I'm walking up the street and the town yard is near my house and there's a cop there filling up his car. And I would stop and ask everybody for words that they used. And I asked this cop, and he said, Hamptonite. And I said, what's a Hamptonite? He said, a Mercedes-Benz driving ignoramus who stops at the scene of an accident to ask police for directions.
And that
And I'm sure
happened
that
once?
happens.
And that happened, so a lot of these things. And then there was a client
People come up.
who got a flat tire and bought a new car.
That's a story that can only happen.
And I'm thinking, you know,
As
what do
Cindy
you,
Adams
what do you
would say,
call
only
this?
it's good.
What do you call it?
What do you call it?
He's a high roller.
Ah, but
It's all in here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say, once again, where your work is, and it's actually starting this weekend, but all through the rest of the
Opening
season.
this evening, 5 to 7.
Friday
I hope
night.
you're gonna come.
Yes, I'll be there.
Uh,
Can I come too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're coming with a
We're
lawyer.
coming with a lawyer.
No, there we go. We said we were
Extra matchbook
And some of the other
and
work.
some of the other work.
And
That's
That's at Stella Flame Gallery, which is right near the Candy Kitchen on Main Street, Bridgehampton.
And Bobby.
And Bobby Vance
And
too.
Bobby.
So you can go have a drink.
So you can go have a drink, go to the
Have a few drinks and go
gallery,
over and buy
and buy something, Bill.
From Look at the giant
Look at the giant
thumbtack.
thumbtack. That's another thing.
crushed it in Miami, by the way. He doesn't talk about this, but he did totally do a great
Director
job.
Jason Nauer sticks his head in to say that you had a big sale in Miami, or
Well,
like
it wasn't a big sale, but I ended up with a solo show at Scope Art Fair in 2018. So in 2017, my wife and I went to Miami, and we
Right.
did the art fairs.
Right.
And I was sort of new to success in art, and that's what I needed to do. And Scope was 60 galleries, and it was fun, there were red dots everywhere, and I'm thinking, this is where I need to be. So I wrangled my way into a solo show at Scope in 2018, where they had expanded it to 160 galleries. And it was filled with a bunch of crap, but it was way in the back. But anyway, I had this great one-man show, a corner booth, 2 aisles, heading straight into my booth, huge exposure, 40 to 50,000 people. Trump crashed the stock market the day the fair opened. I did not sell a single piece at this fair.
Man.
But what happened was my Instagram exploded. I went from, you know, a couple hundred to a couple thousand. And I got all this recognition. And over the years, I've picked up, you know, half a dozen galleries out of this show. So it's a long game.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
a really long
Yeah.
game.
But you've got the right spirit, and the work is sensational. As again, I say, we're still at what?
We're still at
for us,
WTF.
yeah, sadly. But people say that about this show every week. This just proves it now. Miles, thank
Actually,
you
your
so
kid
much.
could do this show too, actually. It's probably better than we do as well.
Do it better than I could, too.
Miles, nice
Miles,
meeting you.
thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jets.
And Hampton's Dictionary, don't take my copy, Miles. I take
Which
it.
one? Is yours signed?
I think,
sign?
no, but you will sign it, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Could you make it to successful eBay bidder?
yeah.
Hey, listen,
I think mine's the
there
oldest
is,
one.
there is
I-
so much
this is
going
the-
on
that
this
one's mine.
weekend, and Miles is just one of them. Chelsea Handler, as we mentioned, is at the clubhouse. That's for a good cause. Blue Dream Hampton's supporting something called Project Purple and the Diabetes Association.
Thank you, Miles.
And
Thank you.
research in Southampton Saturday night. That's at something called dormitonhamptons.org. More information about that. And the Concourse d'Elegance we talked about. What we haven't talked about are the movies, and our next guest is gonna give us a little sort of thumbnail about what he's liked and not liked over the summer. But before we do that, on Saturday in Hampton Bays, one time only, is Renee Fleming's Cities That Sing. Now, what this is they've taken cameras around the world to different theaters and filmed some famous people, and Renee is one of them. It's kind of a travel log, and the first one is Paris. Here, take a look at the trailer, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Jay, do you have the stills for the other movies?
Ask anyone around the world what springs to mind when they think of Paris. The Eiffel Tower, cafes and croissants. But in terms of opera, there's no place like Paris.
Paris is the beating heart of mixing all arts together.
You're one of 15 haute couture designers. It's a little bit like champagne. It has to be from France. I invite you now to come with me on a journey. We'll see the sights. Such an historic wine shop. Meet some remarkable people and luxuriate in that fantastic music.
guy by the name of Bruce Lipnick, who started Stage Access. They have Kelsey Grammer as their kind of Robert Osborne, remember on Turner Classic Movies
Right.
that sort of introduced you and stuff. And that is at Hampton Bays, Saturday only, 3 o'clock, one performance, coming back in September on the I think the 26th, where they go to Venice. But this weekend is Paris, and why not? To get a little culture. We could use a little culture.
I could use culture. Culture.
Talking about the movies, there's only one man really to get, and he couldn't join us. So Neil Rosen, Neil Rosen, you know from
Television veteran Neil
yes,
Rosen.
PBS, the Today Show in New York once or twice a year, and now here on Weekend
Wow,
Live.
it's amazing.
Just could you describe your feelings just the whole sense of being here?
I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, you think the Today Show is something, and you know what's funny?
You've been drinking.
I have to tell you, Bill and I have been doing a show called Talking Pictures for, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years, I don't know. And people that I run into ask me, what do I do? And I said, well,
I've seen you and I ask you, what do you do?
Yeah, and I say, I review movies and I interview people in movies, and I have a television show on PBS. And I'm on the Today Show, and I'm on Sirius XM. I'm a regular contributor on that. And I do a podcast. And anybody under 35, you would forget the Today Show. I mean, anybody under 30 is like, oh, tell me about your podcast. The podcast is what people are interested in. And anybody could do a podcast. I mean, it takes a lot of years and expertise to get on the Today Show, but no, the podcast is what people want to hear. And Bill and I do this podcast together called,
along with a guy named
Bill Bergoli, called Sitting Around Talking Movies, and we've been doing that for about 15 years. So,
look
we're
for
sitting
that.
around talking movies now.
Yes.
Here, and that's.
And a lot of interesting things happened this summer where the perceived box office smashes were not box office smashes.
Well, like Flash. I mean, everybody was talking up Flash, and then
that's what it did.
That
it was a flash in the
Michael Keaton was going to return as Batman after I don't know how many decades when he did all those Batman movies with Tim Burton, and that just super tanked. And
was part of the problem that they had a star who couldn't basically do a press tour was Ezra Miller.
Well, that was later, right?
I don't know if that really was what it's just not a particularly great movie, and I think there's a fatigue factor that is set in with these comic book, whether it's Marvel or DC. I mean, Hollywood. I just read this book which came out many, many years ago. I told Bill about it. Raging Bulls, Easy Riders, Raging Bulls, and
Peter Biskind, right?
yeah, and how and it was written a long time ago, but he was talking about how the movie industry just totally changed. I wish he would update that book, but the movie studios, it's just about sequels, and it's all about opening weekends, and let's just put all this money into movies that are just gonna, we know are gonna be guaranteed. So you have this glut of action movies and superhero movies, and I think people are really getting tired of it. I mean,
but they came back for Barbie. And were you surprised that
shocked
at how well that really did?
Yeah, I knew it would do well. They had a tremendous marketing campaign. I thought that the movie, before it came out, I thought it was going to be the wrong director for that movie. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, her husband, who was also a director in his own right, wrote the movie. And I figured you're going to need somebody who, did Step Brothers or something like, or the Brady Bunch movie, a parody. But shockingly, it way exceeded expectations. I mean, it's making over $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah.
And Oppenheimer, which shows that there is a market for intelligent, non-superhero action movies, thought-provoking movies. It's a historical movie, and that's nearing the $1 billion mark, worldwide. So my hope is that studios see this and they actually say, okay, let's do some movies that are not like Fast and Furious,
formulaic,
Fast and Furious 25, you know what I'm saying, or Mission Impossible 19. It's enough.
We'll talk about Mission Impossible for a second, because that was supposed to be a much, much bigger hit than it ended up being. And I think it's a good movie, and I think you really need to see it in a movie theater. But underperformed even at like something like 300 million.
Well, Mission Impossible, first of all, what's interesting about this Mission Impossible, they're telling you right away it's part one. So it's, you know.
That's true, it's a turnoff, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so I have to see this and then it's gonna be a cliffhanger and I have to see the second part. And, you know, you gotta hand it to the people at Barbie. The marketing campaign on that was incredible, as well as Oppenheimer. And it's whoever decided, you know, usually movies stay out of each other's way. You know, okay, we're gonna open this weekend. Universal talks to Paramount, okay, we'll open our movie. But whoever decided to open both of those movies, which are totally different audiences, on the same day, that's a genius move. Really.
Barbenheimer, they kept playing.
Yeah.
We have a list. Do we have the list, Jason, of the top grossing summer movies?
What's interesting is
Can we see that?
The number 2 one on that list,
Yeah.
if you go in, is that the Super Mario's list?
Yeah,
Is that on
this
Super
says
Mario?
number 1 is Barbie right now at
Right.
about 575 million.
Domestically, yeah.
Domestic, this is all domestic numbers. And then Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Little Mermaid, Oppenheimer, and then something interesting, The Sound of Freedom, and we'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
what's interesting about The Sound of Freedom?
Religious movie.
With Jim Caviezel. Well, it's not really. I mean,
Well, it's funded by,
correct.
by a
But they've been saying nonstop since it came out. It's not QAnon. It's not, you know, it's actually, I'm told, because I haven't seen it, a very taut at 2 hours film about the sex trade, and it's made more money than Mission Impossible.
Well, you know.
How's that possible?
That's a great question, and I think if the studios can figure that out, you know, they can make a lot of money. But what's with Caviezel, by the way? This is the second, he did
Yeah,
another.
he did the Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson.
I know, another, you know,
No,
funded
this
by-
is his lane. I mean, I've been told it's as simple as churches. The pastor on a Sunday will promote a movie, and
Yes.
if you can get that.
Well, that's what
happening
happened with
for-
the Mel Gibson movie with, you know, is
Passion of the
Christ.
all the, you know, the reverends and the priests and the pastors were saying, go see this particular movie. Did that happen?
Now, why didn't
people
enough people go see that movie, Indiana Jones?
Harrison Ford, despite CGI making him younger, you know, the audience for Indiana Jones. I mean, the first Indiana Jones came out, what, how many years ago was that?
1981.
Okay, so we're talking about, you know, it's not like you saw this, you know, somebody who's 20, 21, 20, 19, it's not the kids are going like, gee, I gotta see the new Indiana Jones. They weren't alive, they weren't around in the heyday of Indiana Jones, so they're not clamoring to go see like, great, I've been waiting years to see this. They don't even know from Indiana Jones. So maybe, which is the market for that, the, you know, 15, 16, 18-year-old kid is not going, yeah, let me see an 80-year-old guy you know, run around and do that particular thing. And as far as the older audience goes, I don't know if they're that interested.
They weren't. I mean,
yeah,
they didn't go see it.
You do know because
they're
it
just
wasn't
not that
as big a hit.
interested. As far as the Jim Caviezel, in terms of that particular movie, that stumps me. I don't know. I mean, the subject matter is intriguing. It's interesting, but there are a lot of movies that are intriguing like that. I find
Cry of Freedom. I can
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'll pull up the website.
I mean, do you have a theory on it?
Besides the fact that religious groups are telling each other to go to it, and that's a group like before there was a Fox News and they said no one's talking to the right. I think people in Middle America don't think there are enough movies made for them, and whether it's a regular movie or not, they've put a kind of a banner on it saying this is one for us, and they all talk to one another on social media, as I mentioned earlier, at churches, and. Look, it's from Angel Studios.
Provide free tickets for someone to claim and watch at movie theaters. There's a button there on their website, which is
Really?
kind of interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Pay it forward, buy tickets.
So do you think that this $4, what's the did for?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is this
so
weekend.
it's a good point.
Do you
So-
think people? I mean, a lot of people have stopped. I mean, which is incredible about the Caviezel movie and Barbie and Oppenheimer is that people are coming out to the movies. But generally speaking, if you speak to most people, they're like, well, you know, unless it's something they really want to see since the pandemic, they're like, yeah, I'll just wait till it comes to streaming or on demand. I mean, that was happening before the pandemic, and I think the pandemic really put like another nail in that coffin, you know? But I wonder if this when is that $4 movie?
So this weekend, it's on Sunday only.
Is
at
it every
theaters-
movie?
theaters
Like Barbie,
all across-
Oppenheimer, anything you
all
want?
across America. The different theaters have to be participating, but the Regal in East Hampton and I think Sag Harbor are both participating
the
in
new
it.
Teenage
So
Mutant Ninja
everything's
Yeah, you can go see
$4,
that.
but it's just to be clear, it's Fandango that declared this National Movie Day, which I'd never heard of before.
You never heard of
It's
Fandango,
Sunday.
or you never?
No, I'd never heard of Fandango's National Movie Day.
Okay.
So the point is, I believe you have to buy the tickets on
Through
Fandango.
Fandango. That makes sense.
But they're not, at $4, they can't be making any money, so I have no problem
It's a
promoting it.
promotion, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that'll drive more people into the theaters, because movies have become very expensive. I mean, you know, aside from the convenience, which has trained people during COVID to just wait and see it, you know, when it comes on streaming. I mean, if you go to the movies, you know, I mean, you take a family of 4 to the movies, and, you know, with the
Is that what you
concessions.
do, Neil? You meet a family of 4 on the street and you take them to the movies?
That's
When's
exactly
the last
what-
time you paid
Well,
for a movie?
but also the window has decreased as well between, I remember when, you know, not too long ago, a movie would appear in a movie theater, then it would transition to home video, and that was like an 8-month, 6-month wait.
That's the whole model. It was,
And-
that was the old model, right? First it was the movie theater, then was
Pay-per-view.
premium pay-per-view on demand, then it was regular on demand, then it would go to, you know, an HBO.
Right.
And then a couple of years later, you'd see it on like ABC or something, but they're not really the networks aren't really showing movies anymore, except
Yeah.
for once in a blue moon.
But all of them have, like, you know, Netflix, I mean, there are movies from the beginning of the summer, and Guardians of the Galaxy is on Disney. You
Yeah,
know, I
right.
mean, that came out in what, May?
And is Little Mermaid on Disney Plus now?
Little Mermaid's on Disney Plus now, and then
Yeah.
Super Mario, which I still don't understand how that became one of the biggest.
I
hits.
understand that.
Why? Why did Super Mario become such a big?
Because it's such a pop, I mean, I don't know if you're involved in the video gaming world. My daughter is actually very involved in that world.
I'm sorry.
I mean, there are more, video games make more money than the movie
Than the
industry.
movie.
And there are, that is a very, very popular game. I mean,
Still, because I remember this from like 20,
Yeah,
30
it's still
years
a
ago.
popular
I don't know
game.
anyone who's seen that movie, by the way. You and I are critics, and we're supposed to go to the movies for
yeah, we
a
haven't
reason.
seen it.
Well, you can get it on Vudu, Infinity, Prime Video, Apple TV.
Jody Gambino, our floor director, just raised his hand. He saw it, so
Did you
there's
like it?
there's
It was
20 bucks.
awesome.
He
Yeah,
said
my
it's
daughter-
awesome.
And why did you go to that movie?
My girlfriend's daughter wanted to see
See,
it.
there you go.
His
Kids are,
girlfriend's daughter dragged them to the movie theater.
I told
What
you,
other show talks
kids
to the
love
audience
that
the
video
way we
game.
If you're here in the studio, we will ask you questions, and you will be forced to answer.
Kids drive that market and tell their parents, I want to see this, and that's my theory on why.
Well,
Super Mario
correct me if I'm
Brothers.
wrong, but that Spider-Man that's in the top 5 is also animated, correct?
Yeah,
That's the
the-
one that with the
Yeah.
Across the multiverse.
Well, the first one won the Oscar for best animated feature.
Did it really?
I believe it did. It was
Really?
certainly nominated. I think it did win.
Wow.
And it's a very good movie. And Spider-Man has a lot of fans, and it was really good. I mean, it's really well done. So look, there are
I'm scrolling to find the.
there are movies that.
There we go. There we go. We have the website now for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
And where did where did that rank in the summer?
That was number 2 or 3. It was Barbie, Super Mario, and then Spider-Man.
People love. First of all, people love Spider-Man. Secondly, people love that animated. I don't know if you saw that first animated.
I did not.
It was not. I believe it did win the Oscar. I know it was certainly nominated, but I think it won. It's a really great movie. And since it has a built-in fan base, Spider-Man, and it was very good, people were clamoring to see the second one. Look, there are a lot of good movies that Bill and I discussed these, and they go nowhere, But Spider-Man has a label. It's Spider-Man. People want to see Spider-Man.
Now, but it's funny that this didn't get hit with the, as we were talking about earlier, the superhero fatigue. Or maybe this is it's genre breaking because it's an animated movie, or
I think the first one was so well done and won the Oscar
that
in my opinion.
compelled people.
I think people wanted to see it, and they loved the first one. Flash, I mean, not a good movie, and Flash is not, or Aquaman, not the same level of popularity as Batman or Spider-Man. Even
No,
though
certainly
Batman
not.
was in Flash, it wasn't a Batman movie.
If you're just joining us, you've missed some incredibly incisive insight from Neil Rosen. He hosts a PBS show, also a fantastic podcast called Sitting Around Talking Movies.
Which you're on.
And which I'm sadly a part of as well. And we're talking about what's happened this summer, the highs and lows. This is Weekend Live, the Hamptons Now. But because we have Neil here, let's just go forward a little. the Hamptons Film Festival, I know, is one of your favorite times of the
Yeah.
year. It's coming up the first week in October.
October
It was
5th.
2 weeks last year because it was a 30th, I think, anniversary, but now it's a week.
Is it a week?
Yeah, it's 7 days this year. And just explain to people watching why you like that festival.
Well, first of all, you know, you and I both go to a lot of festivals. And like, let's just compare it to the Tribeca Film Festival or the New York Film Festival. Okay, it's in the middle of the city, or if you go to Sundance or Cannes, it's a zoo. This is people live out here. You and I live out, you know, have houses out here. We live out here. It's so relaxed. I mean, you just, and you see in a relaxed environment. I think I've seen every Best Picture Oscar winner out here. David Nugent, the gentleman who programs this, I mean, we were talking about it. His track record is amazing.
Right.
I mean, I saw Argo out here, you know, and you see them, you know, the Academy Awards are like February, March, and when they come out here, nobody ever, you know, we look at the catalog now. It's like, I heard this is good, and you're looking, Argo, what is this? You know, you don't know what the movie is. King's Speech, what is this?
I saw that here, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Black Swan, I mean, I can, the list goes on
Whiplash,
and on.
every
Whiplash that year was my #1 movie, my favorite movie, and I saw it here first. And I had no idea what
Right,
it was.
so when they announce what the movies are, you and I are in the business, we don't even know if, and there's like buzz, like, I hear this is good. And it's not like saying, you know, Black Swan, where everybody knows what it is now, you know? But when you go to this thing in October, you see a lot of stuff, and you just wind up seeing them, like, I don't know, I think Nugent programs 80% of the stuff that gets nominated for Oscars. And I think that's great. And again, it's not like you're clamoring, you know, like at another film festival, gee, I hope I get in, and you got to take the subway to get there or beat traffic. Yeah, you just, I live in
Very
East Hampton,
civil.
you just leave East Hampton, and 5 minutes later, you're at, well, Guildhall's being rented. I don't know, I don't think they're doing the screenings this year in Guildhall. I don't know
I
if
don't
they're-
either. I don't think it's gonna be done. It's done for
don't know.
some things, but it doesn't seem to be done for others.
I know they've reopened Guildhall, we had someone, we were supposed to have
But
someone
I don't
here.
think the movies are good. They used to be there, or the East Hampton Cinema, and they did an amazing job renovating the Sag Harbor, you know,
Yeah,
cinema.
That's my favorite cinema.
I mean, it's
there.
just incredible. I mean, you go to the top floor and there's like a bar where they have like bands, you know, jazz music and.
There's a bar up there, Mr. Rosen. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but I'm sure they're
But-
very familiar.
And they have like, you know, memorabilia from different movies in the lobby and
Yeah.
vintage posters. I mean, the thing burned down. I was in there before it burned down, and they
Really?
rebuilt
You
it.
have something to confess?
Oh, God.
No, I'm just funny. No, they just did an incredible job of rebuilding that theater. The outside looks exactly the same with the classic neon thing that says Sag Harbor, but the inside is just, it's one of the best movie theaters that you can be in.
So the serious movies are starting to come out now, we're at the end of the summer, summer's over.
Well, you can start seeing them at the Hampton Film
Film
Festival.
Festival,
yeah.
And
What are you looking forward to?
I was just gonna ask. No, but
I'm looking forward to the
We're
new
born on
Martin.
the same day and we think a lot.
I'm looking forward to I gotta get the title. It's the new Martin Scorsese film, which stars Robert De Niro
Right.
and
Killing of
Leonardo.
the
Some
Sun.
moon,
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
There we go.
Right, Flower Moon. And I'm looking forward to that. I mean, it's Scorsese, it's De Niro, and it's DiCaprio, you know?
And an amazing turn by a young indigenous actress who's supposed to be fantastic.
I'll tell you something else that I'm looking forward to.
Uh-oh.
I'm looking forward to the Hampton Film Festival because there's something that I'm not aware of that I'll probably see, and I'll
Talkies?
go, and I'll go like, wow, this is an incredible movie, and this has a shot at like winning an Oscar.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You don't know what it is yet. The way I said Whiplash, I had no idea. And then I thought,
Exactly,
right.
and that
No,
all
that's the fun of it.
that always happens at the Hampton Film Festival. It's like I never
1000%.
heard of this thing, and all of a sudden it's like, my goodness, you know.
We have to get David Nugent to come in here and talk and tell us,
And Ann
give us a
Chazon,
preview.
sure, any
And
of
then
those
Jason, yeah.
folks.
You
And,
should.
and Spielberg, welcome anytime, Mr. Spielberg, please. Come direct us. No, Jason's doing a fine job, but I'm just saying, like, we would love to have you in here. Neil Rosen, thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, do you have the weather?
I do have the weather. Neil, will you do the weather for
Oh,
us?
absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
I
Neil.
stand by the
The
beach.
You gotta
chance
go
you've
by
always
you gotta go
wanted.
to the beach.
Yeah, you
Neil.
can go to the beach.
Okay.
Neil Rosen, in addition to sitting around talking movies, has a PBS show called Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, Lisa Rossman, and I am a frequent contributor there as well. But now, in his, I think, weather forecasting debut, please welcome to Weekend Live, the Hamptons Now, Neil Rosen.
Okay. All right, I need my sunblock.
There's no ad-libbing, Mr. Rosen.
All right, the weekend weather is brought to you by Douglas Elliman Real Estate and by the Melissa Cohn Group with William Ravis Mortgage. More at ravis.com. Saturday, the high is going to be around 80 degrees. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. Scattered thunder showers likely in the morning, then mostly sunny. Humidity at 81%. UV index 6 out of 11. Sun's up at 6:09. It sets at 7:31. Overnight lows 64. Sunday's high in the mid-70s and sunshine humidity at 75%. The UV index on Sunday is going to be 7 out of 11. Again, take that sunscreen. Sun's up at 6:10, sets at 7:29. That's your weekend weather from Douglas Elliman and the Melissa Cohn Group with William Ravis Mortgage. And that's your weather for this weekend in all of the Hamptons.
Wow, powerhouse performance, and why am I not shocked? It's just whatever he touches turns to gold.
I think I did better than those. Well, they were wonderful. The Matildas.
Oh, I didn't realize you were rejoining us, Mr. Rosen.
Oh,
That's
okay,
fine.
I'm done.
Stay
We're
right
happy.
there because
No.
we're going to talk something I'm sure you are aware of.
Oh, I didn't know I was done.
No, you're good.
You've not been dismissed, Neil. Not been dismissed.
We have no editorial policy. It's so obvious.
We have no format. We have
You're
no
just flipping around. We don't know this is a show either. It's called Weekend Live, The Hamptons Now. And one of the big successes, we've been talking about movie hits and misses. One of the big successes is so popular out here this summer that we have tried repeatedly to get the folks who run it to come and talk to us. It's called Pop-Up Bagels. They started in Connecticut, came to New York City, then came this summer out to the Hamptons. They now have a permanent place on Thompson Street in the city, but out here they've been rotating around different restaurants. The Cookery, I don't even know where they are this weekend, but frankly, it's not a big deal because they sell out in 5 minutes. As soon as people who know about it know that it's happening and you get an email or an Instagram notification, you get to go on and order these bagels, which have become the hottest thing in the Hamptons. The lines outside of Moby, the Cookery, the two I mentioned, and several other restaurants.
I've not done this, so I don't know this. Bill, you know this. So you order online.
Correct.
And then they bring them out from the city or Connecticut or wherever?
Yes, I think they may be using ghost kitchens out here and making them out here, but I'm not sure. They were warm when I picked them up at Moby's like 2 weeks ago. So this one has cooled off considerably. But
That looks like an everything bagel.
They make, that is an everything bagel. Very observant, Mr. Rosen.
Do you remember Once Upon a Bagel?
I do remember.
I thought it was Twice Upon a Bagel. Was it Once Upon a
You
Bagel?
know, it was Once Upon a Bagel on 27 in Wainscott, I think.
Yeah, it's now the Goldbergs.
And I think there was a copyright infringement on that, and they turned it to Twice Upon a Bagel.
Oh, is that what happened?
I
Oh,
think
that's
so.
very
And
funny.
now it's Goldberg. Yeah, now it's Goldberg.
So
Whether
why-
it's the same owner or not, I have no idea.
I don't. I know for a fact.
You
that
want to
different-
talk bagels, you know?
But why?
I just want to
why?
mention that we heard about, they're just as good as any other bagel, but there's something about the size of them and the perfect amount of crispy outside to meaty inside, in my opinion.
Very different than an English muffin. then.
Heard about this on an Instagram account called Hungry for Hamptons, which if you're not following, you need to.
Because it's your daughter's web.
Full disclosure, Lily
But Lily's
McCuddy.
Lily's great, and actually, follow her on Instagram. It's great stuff.
Yeah, Hungry for Hamptons. They go to restaurants, take a picture of the food, and somehow that's a thing. I don't know how that's a thing, but it is. They're doing great. They have like 5,000.
Holy cow! Why doesn't she promote this show more? Good question.
Why doesn't everybody?
I'll promote it.
Thanks, Neil. Yay, Neil's our champ.
Our next episode of our podcast.
Neil, did you get a Hamptons dictionary?
No, but I was perusing this thing.
Yeah, it's funny.
Earlier,
It's funny.
know.
In your honest opinion, is there a movie here?
No, but I did love your line about can you make the book out to eBay
I used to
High
do that.
Seller.
I used to do that at Fox News.
That's actually a really,
Famous people
really
who came
good.
in, and some liked it, and some were not that impressed. We want to remind everybody that besides Fashion Week that's opening this weekend, and besides Renee Fleming singing at the Hampton Bays Theater at 3 o'clock on Saturday, Chelsea Handler is coming to the Clubhouse. Is it
Clubhouse.
500? Is it? I'm sure as you were watching this that it is sold out, but I could be wrong. They were anticipating 600 people. I'm not sure that they had quite that many last year.
I can hear it from my house, so I don't have to go.
You do live very
The
close to
clubhouse is where you do not where you do your comedy night.
No, that's the clubhouse is near the airport. It's a giant facility with
It's
bowling,
bowling,
and
got miniature
pool and
golf.
miniature golf, and
yeah.
I think Mark Wahlberg was there a couple of weeks ago.
And the guy, what's his name, from Bryan Cranston was there a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. This has been the summer of famous celebrities. We don't have to tell Neil Rosen that. I'm sure they all dropped by your house.
Oh,
and
just it's an endless.
Yeah.
With the SAG after strike, they've stopped coming. But you know, maybe that's
best, nicest celebrity you ever interviewed.
Oh God, the nicest Albert Brooks.
Really? That's
Albert
cool.
Brooks.
You want to hear a story?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll tell you a story.
We got 5 minutes and 11 seconds.
All right, I'll tell you. I'll make it a 2-minute story.
Good,
So
please.
I'm interviewing Albert Brooks for
That
some
means 4
movie.
minutes,
I
right?
don't remember the movie, but I'm a big fan of Albert Brooks. Defending Your Life, as Bill knows, I bring it up constantly on the television show.
Modern Romance, Modern Problems, yeah.
In Modern Romance and
Mother.
Lost in America. Lost in America.
Mother.
Anyway, so I'm about, we're doing a junket, and for those that don't know, they bring press in. It was a press day actually, and I'm waiting my turn, and my turn was 5 minutes away, and all of a sudden I got a call that my wife couldn't pick my daughter up in like at the school she was in, and there was nobody to pick my daughter up, and I was in a real dilemma. And I was telling the publicist, and publicist said, "Let me come right back." And Albert came out and he said, "Take the limo. There's a Paramount limo downstairs. Take it. Pick your daughter up. I'll wait
Take
for
the limo.
Yeah.
There's a Paramount limo downstairs.
I'll-
I want you to take it.
I'll wait for you."
That's
And I go downstairs and there's the limo, and I picked my daughter up, and he waited for me.
No, he was there.
What's really funny is that it's just the sidebar is that I picked my daughter up, and there's another girl that my daughter was having a play date with, and that girl's nanny.
Your daughter's like, here's my limo.
And the nanny. And I go to the nanny, like, hey, this is pretty impressive, right? And she goes, "No, I used to work for Bloomberg. It's not that
That's
impressive."
very funny.
Actually, for Michael Bloomberg. But Albert, so I would say that was the nicest thing that a celebrity did for me.
How about you, Bill? Who was your favorite interview? We get a lot of
Clint
people on the
Eastwood.
show.
Clint Eastwood's also right up there.
Clint Eastwood's
Supposed to be
great.
5 minutes, spent
Tom
50
Hanks,
minutes.
since you brought the junket system up, Tom Hanks is not only nice, but he makes sure that everybody gets a little different story to take back to their news organization, so that when you see him on Entertainment Tonight, he's not telling the same story he told Fox News or New York One or any of those others. He kind of says, "Ask me this," or "Let's go this way or that way," and he's just charming. He's just super.
I'll tell you two other ones really quick. Tom Cruise, and you made a great comment. After the junket, he was hanging out, and he kept talking, and then he kept talking to me. And all his like entourage of 50 people tried to they're not going to tell him to stop talking, but he's asking me like, I don't know. He was with Katie Holmes at the time. What do I do with Siri and blah blah blah? You have a kid, and we're just talking endlessly, and that was just incredible. I mean, he just talked to me for like a half an hour or maybe more, and Bill said Bill said to me, "And you see, and you'll always remember that." You know what I mean? Right. And the other one was Tina Fey and Margot Robbie for a movie that they were doing. They fed a couple of journalists questions in advance. They said, "We're going to interview you," and they must have looked at my bio and they said, "What was it like working for this particular play?" You know, so they were asking me all these questions. Somebody had done research on my life, so that was
Whiskey Trot something.
yes.
Whiskey Trot Tango.
Whiskey Tango Trot or
whatever.
something. Yeah.
She was very proud of that movie, Tina Fey, and
So she was
wanted to-
wonderful. And then she shot something at New York One. She was shooting a pilot, and she just came right over to me and said, "She."
So she was very friendly with me at one point, or sort of. I moderated a panel or two and had her on the side. So we both were flying out to LA one time, and I was in business and she was in first because it was a contractual. Anyway, it sounds obnoxious, but anyway, she came to the curtain and opened it and held the peanuts out when we took off and pointed at me. "Not for you."
Oh, that's funny. She's
Oh,
funny.
that's very funny.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, because you guys both did a lot of junkets. Most difficult interview.
1, 2, 3. Tommy Lee. No, you weren't
Tommy
going
Lee
to say
Jones?
Tommy Lee
I'll
Jones.
let you go first.
Oh, well, Tommy Lee Jones is notoriously difficult, and I've seen him make people cry. I won't say women because that would be sexist.
A friend of ours who you know, who used to be an editor of a major magazine, said the same thing. He said Tommy Lee Jones was.
Yeah,
He
he's
just
always
doesn't
been-
wanna do
He's
it.
always been nice to me.
Right?
I got to go with Sharon Stone.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard that, but she was nice.
You know, it's
to me.
funny. Horrible. One of the worst interviews ever. And then
Probably one of the worst movies ever.
And then she was at the top of her, you know, like
Yeah.
top of her fame.
When she was doing Sliver?
And then years later, I interviewed her again.
Right.
And I actually called her out on it. I said, "You were so mean to, you know, to me." She goes, "Oh, I was an idiot back then." But her star had fallen at that particular.
Hey, that's gonna have to be the last thought. This is Weekend
Jonah
Live.
Hill also was a terrible.
I knew if I said we had to go, Neil would add one more. Jonah Hill is what he said. Listen, exciting. Are you going to Chelsea Handler?
You have tickets for me?
There, you can buy tickets online. I'm looking at the clubhousehamptons.com events.
If you're watching
There's
this before
tickets
that.
still available.
For Saturday night?
Bridget Leroy.
It is Saturday, 8/26. So that's
Bridget
this
Leroy,
Saturday.
and supposedly she's gonna do an hour, not like somebody last year, like Amy Schumer.
Oh, she did about 10 minutes, what?
No, but it went. Hey, join us here
Bye.
next weekend. Bye-bye.
Talk about stretching. Thank you, Neil. Oh my God, you're a lifesaver.
I thought that was wrong when it said we had 17
Bill
minutes
always gives
left.
me a lot. Bill always gives me